Oh, hey, how are you? Hope you're doing well. It's been a while since I made one of these. I've just been busy, overwhelmed, all that sort of fun stuff. But, you know. Anyway, today I'd like to talk about some fun paradigms to have a think about, to practice, actually practice them, give them a crack, see what you think of them. Because, buy into it, and then see how you go with that, see what happens, see what manifests, see what, doesn't hurt to try these things. Anyway, so the first paradigm is that the universe will give you whatever you believe in, not what you want, not what you need. It will give you what you believe in. What's that mean? That means, so, it's amazing. It's amazing when you start to tune yourself into this stuff. You start to notice this stuff in real life, right? I know people who may not say it, but deep down, they believe that the world is against them. They believe that their own mind is against them. They believe that if an opportunity arises in their life that they can take, something's going to happen and it's all going to fuck up. And that's their belief. And consistently, that's what happens. Consistently. It's not like a one-off thing. It's statistically significant how frequently their unconscious beliefs happen. Now, you can have a conversation with them and they go, oh, no, like, yeah, abundance, like, positive vibes, y'all. And they're all like completely fake and BS about all this sort of stuff, right? But deep down, see, one thing that you can do to audit your deep beliefs is that is to look at your behaviors and look at your the results of your life. What's a pattern? What are the patterns of your life? What keeps happening? Right? Because the beauty, the incredible thing about self-sabotage is that it is the most subtle, insidious thing. It's based on the ego, which means that the ego likes to keep things the same. It likes to blind you so that you can't see what it's doing. It tends to justify itself. It tends to deliver you excuses that it plucks from your mind so that they seem legitimate, so that these excuses seem really legitimate, right? And sometimes, on a logical level, they are totally legitimate. They are real. They're not fake. But you could look at it from a different perspective, or you could just do something about it so that you can work your way around it. Some people are so stuck in their ways, so stuck in this belief that, for example, the world is against them, that their mind makes sure that that's what happens. It's incredible. I knew someone who was my housemate, and he was really, there were a few times where he was crying to me because he was worried that when we move out of that house, that it's going to affect the friendship, that he's going to lose a friend, that he doesn't want it to come between us and all this sort of stuff. And there were like, we talked about it dozens of times, and a couple of times he was so upset about it that he was literally in tears. Why? Because he knew that that's what was going to happen. It was a belief of his. He didn't want it to happen consciously. He thought that he didn't want that to happen. And yet, I never gave him reason to do that. Every time he fought with me, because he would keep fighting with me, right? He kept bringing things up, kept like trying to pick fights with me. And I would, I'd just be like, it's all cool, man. It's all cool. Because I don't really care what he says, because we're going to move out soon, and so he can believe whatever he likes, and at the end of the day, we're not going to be, I don't have to put up with it, you know? It's only another couple of weeks, and then we're good, you know? But as we got closer and closer and closer towards the date, he made sure that that happened. He made sure that would happen. And he picked a fight with me over, he promised me he'd do something by a certain date. He couldn't fulfill it, so I said, all right, well, here's the date that you need to get it done by. He said, fine. The last day, he still didn't do it. And then he blamed me for telling him what to do or something like that. You know, and a few other reasons why. And he stormed out, he threw the key, he dropped the keys at, like a mic drop, the keys, you know. And never spoke to him since. Now, if you had a conversation with him, I can guarantee you that he has lots of reasons why that happened and why it's my fault. Just like I'm saying, the ego blinds you from seeing what really happened. And so this will happen to you. It happens to everybody constantly. And it happens in the background of the mind. You don't notice it happening, right? So you need to audit your whole life. Look at it as a whole, not as individual moments, because individual moments you can say, oh yeah, that happened because of this. Oh, that only happened because of that. Oh, if that person wasn't such an asshole. Oh, that only happened because I was lucky, or whatever, you know? You look at your whole life as a whole, look at the patterns, look at this, look at that, right? And you get that, you get to the core of what you really are, who you really are. You get to the core of, you know, what type of people do you have around you in your life? Then you think, why? Is there a reason why? You know, do you have shitty friends? Why do you have shitty friends? Because part of you feels shitty about yourself and feels that this is a good, they're equals. Or maybe they're really shitty and they treat you like shit. And you feel that part of you deserves that. Or maybe you don't tolerate people that treat you badly. Because it's your belief, you don't resonate with them. Maybe it's not even a hateful thing. Maybe there's no hard feelings. You just don't resonate with people like that. So you don't even think to conversate with those people. It's not even like you're avoiding them. You just don't think to talk with them. Or you talk with them for a little bit and okay. And then you start talking to someone who's more interesting at a party or something, you know? If you look at it as a whole, the universe, now here's the thing, going back to what I said at the start, the universe will give you what you believe. The universe will give you what you believe. It will not give you what you want. It will not give you what you think you need or what you do need or any of that sort of stuff. It will give you what you believe. You will attract towards you the things that resonate with what you believe. Like the friendship, relationship example is a perfect example of that. The people that resonate with your core beliefs, with your core self, are going to be in your life. The people that don't resonate with these things, will at best take a back burner. You'll see them couple of times a year or something like that. And every time you see them, you might get on really, really well, but for some reason you don't have the unconscious motivation to keep that going, right? I use relationships and friendships as a example because it's one that we can all resonate with. It's one that we can all very easily audit. It's one that we can all very easily examine with a magnifying glass, with a microscope, and see, really double down on what we are, in the relationship genre, aspect, whatever, right? Believe it or not, this same principle applies to every single aspect of your life. I mean, even your fitness. Now, some people are genetically predisposed to this or that, the other. I get that, that's fine. But some people, most people who are unfit, unconsciously have who are unfit and also are not genetically predisposed to whatever. Some of these people, that part of their unconscious mind doesn't believe that having a healthy body or a body that performs at its peak is something worth aspiring to go towards. They move away from illness, perhaps. When they get sick, they do something about it. But once they're feeling good, they stop, right? So it's short-term gratification versus the long-term, having energy all the time, this, that, the other, right? These are things, right? They rather have a chocolate bar than a piece of fruit, or they, the flavor of a salad is not one to their taste. You might call that personal preference, but believe me, it is something that as fitness and health becomes part of yourself, you'll start to get a taste for healthy foods. Maybe not salads, but maybe salads, whatever. Because you understand your tongue, your gut, your smell, your brain, everything understands, well, this is what I am about, right? And I'm not saying this to judge anyone, I'm just saying it because it's something that I see. I see it in people. And you talk to them about it and watch the justifications flow out of their mouth. Watch them say things like, yeah, I know, but ... Right? Oh, I don't like drinking water. Have you tried drinking tea? Oh, I guess I could try that. They never do. Or I guess I could, flavor it with something. But I'd rather soft drink. Soft drink's my thing. What else? Career, you'll get the career that you resonate with. Because if you want a different type of job, you'll probably you'll make the time to look for new ones. And not only will you make the time to look for new ones, you'll also keep your ears perked for when opportunity comes to you, right? For example, I was at the bottle shop talking to this wonderful woman who works there, and I said, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. She says, oh, well, now that the COVID's over, my day job started to pick up, and now I have my day job to go to. and so you're going to see a lot less of me. I said, oh, that's no fun. She said, yeah, we're absolutely flat out. We need more people. And then I knew someone who was right there at the bottle shop with me. I said, hey, you're looking for a new job? Do you need a new job? This person didn't even hear the conversation. Didn't even notice it because they were too busy looking at other things, right? Which is fair enough. But when you're tuned in for these things, you'd be amazed at how many opportunities arise, right? That friend of mine got the job just like that, effortlessly, because I had the ear. I heard that. I knew that this person was looking for a job. I got them the job just by noticing things, right? So, and I want this person to succeed, and that's why my brain is like tuned in on helping this person and giving them opportunities like this, looking for opportunities like this for people. I do it for anyone because I want everyone to succeed. So, with that being said, the universe, God, will give you what you believe in deep down. It will give you what resonates with your life as a whole, right? So start making those changes and stop making those excuses and start auditing your life and all that sort of thing. And that's the first paradigm. It's the first one to understand and really wrap your head around. The second one, and this one, you'll notice that with paradigms, sometimes a paradigm is useful to a point. Sometimes the paradigms are useful to a certain point in your life, and then that'll be the limits of that paradigm. The limits of that paradigm will block you from getting any further. So you might believe something, and that will only get you so far, right? It's like if you did a course at uni, you can only go so far as those lessons, what you learnt at that school, right? You can't learn beyond that because you haven't been taught that yet. So you need new paradigms. The next paradigm is the universe doesn't care. The universe doesn't care. The law of attraction is a great paradigm to start off with, which is kind of the first one in a way. It's not. I haven't studied the law of attraction, so I don't know exactly how it works. But it's kind of, from what I understand, similar. But the reality is the universe doesn't care about you. This is all basic psychology. There are some videos out there. I think Tony Robbins ones are the best on reticular activating system. Reticular activating system. Look that up. Tony Robbins makes lots of videos on the reticular activating system. I'll give you an example. I'd like you to look around you. This is his one. This is the example that I hear from him frequently. Look around you. Now what I'd like you to do is to look for all the things that you can see that are red. Look for all the red things. Every red thing. Count how many red things there are. Make a big list in your head of all the red things. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes now. Eyes closed now. And what I'd like to ask you is, how many blue things are in your environment right now? How many blue things? With your eyes closed, how many blue things? you'll notice that it's very difficult to remember. It's very difficult to have a list in your head of all the blue things, because your brain for that moment was tuned into the color red and all the things that were red around you. Right? And this is an interesting thing to get your head around, because your reticular activating system is influenced by what you believe in. What your focus is, not just in a literal sense, but also on a life sense. Again, I knew this person that I used to live with believed that people will just start fights with you, that it's normal. This guy thought it was normal for people to start fights with you. Honestly, he thought that was he thought his life was a flippin' kung fu movie where you're just walking down the streets. I'm going to attack you. You know, like, this is his life, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to me that this is his belief. And there were, like, while I lived with him, there were lots of times where people started fights with him. And he'd explain the story to me, and obviously he explains it in a way that's very biased towards him not being the bad guy. But still, I'm listening, I'm going, you could have handled that a lot better, man. You didn't need to say what you said or do what you do. You could have just stayed focused and just went in there for... But when these people fight him, I mean, like, pin him up against a wall and go to swing at him and stuff like this in public. One was at a KFC. At a KFC, this guy was gonna fight. And at KFC, the police got called. Like, it baffles the mind. It really does. You know? And when this happened, you know what it did? It reinforced his reticular activating system to go, see people start fights. It happens all the time. It's totally normal. It is totally normal to start, for people to start fights with you for practically no reason. How's that, right? It's basic psychology. You get what you believe in. You get what you believe in not because of the universe, but because that's psychology. That's basic psychology. That's how the brain works. Okay? Now, as a side note, some people will hear things like this and they go, well, I really, really, really believe in X, Y, and Z. Well, if you really, really, really believed in X, Y, and Z, then your life would start to revolve around it. You'd be thinking about it. Not only would you be thinking about it most of the day, but also you would be, any spare time you have, you'll be thinking, man, I wish I could be doing this. You know how you might have a video game or a movie or a TV show that you really, really love, and you're like, I can't wait till I get home from work so I can binge watch this show, or so I can get into this game and finish this game, or like get further in this game, or whatever it might be, you know? Your mind, and then that thought might be like, oh man, it might pop in your head through the day, like, oh, how am I going to fight that person? Or I wonder what's going to happen to Sally next, or whatever it might be, right? And you'll be thinking about it, and the minute you get home, you want to play that game. Well, I have things like that I'm very passionate about, that I feel the same way about. I have projects and goals in my life that resonate with me so strongly that I think about them all the time, and I get any spare moment I have, I'll do that sort of thing. or I want to do that sort of thing if I can't do that sort of thing, you know. I'll do, you know, so I know people who believe in lots of different things. They believe that if they think about something for long enough, it will just come to them, it'll manifest into their life. Well, it'll only manifest in their life if they take the action. They may not notice themselves taking the action because the action is so part of who they are. It's so integrated into what they do normally anyway that they just don't notice it. But they have to do something to achieve whatever it is that they want. The universe doesn't try and do things for you, right? Sometimes you're not feeling passionate and you don't feel motivated. It's BS. It is absolute BS to think that you will learn some technique or do some practice or whatever, or do a course on something that will teach you how to be motivated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? It doesn't work like that. Some days you feel like crap, and some days you're not going to feel motivated. And those are the days where you have to force yourself to do it, to do the thing. You don't say, I don't feel like the universe wants me to do this thing. It's not the universe that doesn't feel like doing this thing. It's you that doesn't feel like doing the thing. Don't blame the universe. Right? Don't blame the universe. It's you, man. It's you, lady. It's you. It's your situation, right? Don't blame the universe. It's unfair. You've got to force yourself to do what needs to be done. And on the days that you are feeling passionate, you run with that passion and you do whatever you can to make that manifest. Right? Sometimes you don't have that motivation. And sometimes you are on such a low level to start with that it's hard to stick to something. It's hard to stick to something because your emotions, your thoughts seem to be completely out of your control. They just float around and do whatever they feel. They do whatever they feel. And you feel like you don't have influence over them. Well, there are techniques around that too. And the first one is discipline. The second one is clarity. Discipline is what I said before, just do the thing, whether you feel like it or not. The second thing is clarity. Think about what you want in your life on a regular basis. When you close your eyes, when you go to bed, think about what matters to you. Focus on what matters to you. You don't need to think about other things. You need to think about what matters to you. Now that doesn't just mean like the deep and meaningful crap. It's like you're like, you want to be someone people can depend on. You are someone who is intelligent or this or that or the other, right? Also, just your hobbies, just your little projects from day to day. You know? Think about these things. The more you think about these things and run simulations in your mind of these things occurring, right? Run simulations in your mind of these things occurring. And as you do that, as long as those simulations are realistic, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be more and more clear on the thing that you're thinking about. what happens neurologically is you are building connections. So you have an idea, you have a belief, you have a thought, you have an ambition, whatever it is. And then what happens is as you think about it more and more and more, or as you practice it more and more and more, just like learning guitar or piano or something, or catching a ball, guess what happens? Neurologically, your brain creates connections. Your brain will physically change its chemistry and change its physical structure to build connections to things that you recite on a regular basis, that you practice on a regular basis, that you think about on a regular basis. The more you think about something, the more connections are built around that. What does that mean? What does that do? What it does is the more connections there are to a piece of data in your mind, right? The faster and more easily that data can be accessed. It's very difficult to access something if the connection there is one connection that's kind of weak, loosely connected to it. Think of loosely connected ideas, or tightly connected ideas, densely connected ideas. This is how the mind works, right? This helps you assert and change your brain chemistry and change your brain structure. Your brain is structurally it's very similar to a nervous system. The more you activate something in the nervous system, the stronger those connections become, right? A really good example of this is with the nervous system is if you ever break a bone, say you break your arm, and your muscles do wither away while your arm is in the cast. But in addition to that, you'll the nerves connecting it also start to get a little bit weaker. They don't get that weak over just a few weeks or a month or two when your arm's in a cast, but or months or however long it takes. But you'll notice that your accuracy, your motor accuracy, will decrease. You'll be more shaky. And when you go to move your hand to a position, it will do it less accurately. It'll do it with less strength, not just because of the muscle, right? But because the nerves connected to the muscle, there are less dense. There's a less density to the nerves that are connected to that muscle. And the fact that the muscle itself has shrunk down doesn't help with your accuracy either, because you can, anyway, you get the idea, right? So your brain is no different to that, because your brain is made of nerve cells, essentially. Essentially, it's nerve cells, right? And every time you activate a nerve cell, right, you get a stronger connection. Now, sometimes these connections can take, sometimes they only take days to strengthen. Sometimes, believe it or not, they take months and months and months to form something quite robust. Sometimes, some connections will need to disassemble other connections in order to connect, because they contradict one another. For example, you can't go to bed and just think about all the reasons that give you value. Why are you awesome? Because I care about people, because I have empathy for people, because I do my best for people, because I make people laugh because, I bake amazing food. I cook amazing food for people. I do this for people. I do that for people, and all this sort of thing. You can't say I'm awesome because I like to create art. I like to create things for people or whatever. You can't say that 1 minute and then all day just hammer home that you're a piece of shit or something. You know what I mean? You can't do that because obviously you can do that, and a lot of people do that, in fact. But those two things counteract each other. They, one disassembles the other. Right? And so, if you understand that, and you understand that the universe is not trying to do you any favors, it's just psychology, right? Really think about this. You can manipulate your mind to change its physical structure over time. Is there limits to that? Of course there are limits to that. You can't just think about something and start growing another arm or something like that. That's nothing to do with the nervous system, right? That's your DNA or some shit, right? Or if you're missing part of your brain or whatever, your brain is missing something, then yeah, you're gonna have a hard time. But it is extremely powerful, and a lot of people just accept that they will never be able to, their brain is just how it is. But it's not true. It's true to what extent. And to what extent is up to your beliefs, really. Because your beliefs change your brain chemistry. They change your brain structure, the connections. By structure, I mean the connections between the nerves. Right? As you get a new idea, it saves a new nerve that saves, or a new structure. It creates a new structure that contains that piece of data. And then it connects, as you use that information on a regular basis, it creates neurological connections to that piece of data so that it can be retrieved more easily. Right? Now, that's where a lot of fun therapies can be really helpful, because they generate new connection in the mind. Sometimes you don't even have to break the old ones. Sometimes, have you ever had an aha moment where someone goes, like, you believe that the world is a certain way and you're completely bought into it, and then someone says, you have like one conversation with someone and you're like, oh my god, so none of that was true. So I thought it was like this, but that was never really the case, and that wasn't really what was going on, and I really can make change, or I really can. What that does is instantly what it does, that person's nearly just drove into that other person. What it does is it's kind of like instantly creates, bang! It just orientates existing nerves slightly differently. It just goes from here, takes a wire, go like 1 or 2 wires as all it takes to change how that idea is connected in your life. You change the way that idea is connected in your life, and then it has new meaning. It changes the context of that idea, right? From one conversation, from one article that you read, from one video, whatever. You go, yeah, right? And this is what it's doing neurologically in your head. It's just modifying, because you got to understand, your brain stores data chemically and electrically. Well, actually, the electricity is generated chemically by the nerves, right? So it is electrochemical, but it's also it's also mainly chemical, really. So your whole personality is saved chemically in the mind, with proteins, with neurotransmitter chemicals and stuff like this. You know, this is how it's saved. Your brain is brain chemistry. And then there's the structure, then that brain chemistry alters the structure of your brain. And it changes every day. Every day you perceive something. Every time you see a flower, some chemistry fires off in your brain, right? Some chemistry fires off in your brain, and and that changes the other chemistry in your brain, right? Every time you learn something new, for that learning to be permanent or even temporary, for it to be perceived at all, the chemistry in your brain has to change, right? That's how the brain works, because it's a chemical thing. The chemistry creates electricity, which fires off more chemistry. It's a electrochemical process. So you can change things. You can change the chemistry. You can change the memory. To what extent? Again, I can't answer that. Right? That's up for experimentation. But there's no reason why you can't experiment with changing your own brain chemistry. There's no reason why you can't experiment with changing your own brain chemistry through behaviors rather than, you don't always have to change your brain chemistry with chemicals. You can, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying you can also do it through what you think and what you feel and all of these sorts of things, because they're all brain chemistry as well. And so I'll stop there, because otherwise, this is, nearly 43 minutes long. And I guess it's because I haven't made a video in so long that, and posted it like this for so long that I've got a lot to say. But I've always done these videos because I really love you people. All of you are my friends, and I care about you very deeply. And if I can help you see something in a different way, then I'm winning, Because if your life is better, and you're the people I associate with, right? Then that's going to reflect on me, and my life's going to get better, and my life's going to get easier, even if we don't see each other very often. You'd be amazed at how things are all connected. Anyway, I love you all, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And thank you for watching this obscenely long video.